Hi, this is Dr. Subarna Rai Chaudhary. I am going to give you a brief idea about the organic farming. This is a course under the undergraduate course that is AAG 323, that is Principle of Organic Farming. So I am going to give you an idea about organic farming, their constraint, future scope, and different benefits of organic farming. So first we have to know what is organic farming. So according to USDA in the year 2006, organic farming is a production system that avoid or largely excludes the use of synthetic inputs. To the maximum extent, organic farming systems rely on crop rotation, crop residues, animal manures, legumes, green manures, off-farm organic waste, an aspect of biological pest control to maintain soil productivity and tilth, to support plant nutrients and to control insect, weeds and other pests. So what is USDA? USDA is United States Development of Agriculture. In the year 2006, they define organic farming as it is a production system. As you know that any farming system is a production system. So our first key point is organic farming is a production system. Now we have to take in mind that what are the approaches which we have to avoid and what are the approaches which we have to include. So the first avoids approaches are the line you can see in this line that avoids or largely excludes, because it cannot be possible to exclude everything. So the term uses largely exclude, the maximum possible extent to exclusion of some synthetic inputs. Inputs means it's all about fertilizer, pesticide, herbicide. So it's uses or the term as inputs. So largely excludes of maximum possible extent of use of synthetic inputs. To the maximum extent, organic system rely on crop rotation, crop residues, animal manures. They all are the agronomic approaches, agronomic management practices. They include crop rotation, crop residues, animal manures, legumes, green manures, off-farm organic waste, aspect of biological pest control to maintain the soil productivity and tilth. So inclusion of crop rotation, crop residues, animal manures, legumes, green legumes, all are the key points, and exclusion of synthetic inputs. So we got three key points. It is a production system, it's largely exclude synthetic inputs, its maximum extent it includes crop rotation, agronomic practices, crop residue, animal manures, all those things, and the biological pest control. For what? To maintain the soil productivity. That is the another key point, to maintain the soil productivity and tilth, to support the plant nutrients and to control insect, weeds and other pests. So I think I can understand I can make you understand the definition of organic farming. So our next point is why need of organic farming. So after the green revolution, even during green revolution could increase our food grain production about fourfold during past few decades. This was resulted due to intensive high input agricultural activities. So we were depending upon, during green revolution we were depending upon the high yielding variety. So they were heavily mining crops. As you know that high yielding variety crops are heavily mining crops. That means it was a high input agricultural system. So due to this we have so many constraints like soil erosion, shortage of water availability, salinization, fertilizer and pesticide contamination, loss of agricultural sustainability. So a need is felt during 80s onwards for an alternative sustainable agricultural system. So for sustainability, organic farming is one of such system. So, main objectives of organic farming. So, there are so many objectives. The main objectives are to maintain the long term fertility of the soil, to avoid all forms of pollution, to produce foodstuff of high nutritional quality and sufficient quantity, to give livestock condition of life that conform to their physiological need. So we have to take in mind that organic farming is depends on the to feed to the soil, not to feed to the crop. So our first objective is to maintain the long term fertility of the soil. The soil health is much more important in organic farming. Organic farming is mainly focusing on the soil health, soil biological properties, chemical properties and physical properties. So our aims, our goal, our objectives of organic farming, the first point should be to maintain the fertility status, to maintain the soil health. So this is the benefit of organic farming. As I said earlier, there are so many benefits, but our first benefit should be soil conservation and maintenance of soil fertility. Less of pollution of water, groundwater, rivers, lakes, protection of wildlife, birds, frogs, insects, less pesticide residues in food, no hormone and antibiotics in animal products, better product quality, taste, storage properties, all are the product quality. So main component of organic farming. There are 5 main component of organic farming. Agronomic practices, organic fertilization practices, organic management of insect pest, organic management of disease, organic management of weed. So our first, I will going to discuss our first point, that is the agronomic practices as the component of organic farming. So under the agronomic practices, there are mulching, green manuring, crop rotation, intercropping, multiple cropping, so many. So mulching, it is the use of organic materials, that is grasses, leaf, to cover the soil, especially around plants, to keep down evaporation, water loss and adding valuable nutrients to the soil. So green manuring. Green manuring, what is green manuring? It is beneficial in 2 ways. Firstly, it fixes nitrogen, and secondly, the addition of biomass around 5 to 10 ton per acre greatly helps to improve the soil texture and water holding capacity. There is a table. The table is showing the different green manure crops. They are dhencha, sun hemp, wild indigo, green gum, and they have different biomass and nitrogen harvest kg per hectare as is shown in this slide. So now next agronomic practices is cover cropping. It is normally carried out with nitrogen fixing crop. They are mostly used for covering the soil in fallow month, adding nitrogen to the soil, suppressing weed, preventing soil erosion, and later used as biomass or fodder. As for example, Dolichos lab, which is a source of fodder and food. As you know, cowpea is another cover crops. So now the cropping system, crop rotation, multiple cropping, intercropping. Now the first point is crop rotation. The growing of different crops in succession on a piece of land to avoid exhausting the soil and to control weeds, pests and diseases. It also can help to maintain healthy balance of nutrients in the soil. So the main objective of crop rotation is to maintain the soil, because we can include legume crop in our crop rotation. So crop rotation is one of the agronomic practices come under organic farming. Our next point is multiple cropping. Multiple cropping is the practice for sequentially growing of 2 or more crops in a same piece of land during one growing season instead of just one crop. It is a form of polyculture. You can say it is a one kind of polyculture. The crops under multiple cropping having different nutritional requirement. So utilization of nutrient from the soil is maximum under multiple cropping. So soil health is balanced under multiple cropping. There are so many multiple cropping system, like intercropping is one kind of multiple cropping, sequential cropping is one kind of multiple cropping, multi-storied cropping is one kind of multiple cropping. Next, come to the next point, intercropping. Intercropping is the cultivation of two or more crops simultaneously on the same field. It improves soil health by improving soil physical, chemical and biological properties. So intercropping is another agronomic practices. Now next point is reduced tillage or zero tillage. Reduced tillage or zero tillage is one kind of conservation tillage, is a practice of minimizing the soil disturbance and allowing crop residue or stubbles to remain on the ground instead of being thrown away or incorporated into the soil. So zero tillage or reduced tillage, the main motto is minimum disturbance of the soil. Now coming to the next main component of organic farming, that is organic fertilization practices. Under organic fertilization practices, there are organic manures, and you know there is bulky organic manures and concentrated organic manures. Bulky organic manures in bulk in nature and bulk amount of organic manure given into the soil. Concentrated organic manures, a little amount has been given to the soil, and bulky amount organic manure, the nutrient content within the bulky organic manure is very low, but the concentrated organic manures, the nutrient content among the concentrated organic manures is very high. So you should know the examples of bulky organic manure. They are a farmyard manure, rural or town compost, night soil, green manure. Even it's a frequently coming question, that is green manure is a bulky organic manure or concentrated organic manure. So green manure comes under bulky organic manure, because green manure is applied into the soil is a huge amount. So green manure is a bulky organic manure. So now come to the concentrated organic manure. There are so many concentrated organic manure: poultry manure, oil cakes, blood or bone meal, meat meals, fish meal. Among oil cakes there are two division: edible, non-edible. Among edible, mustard, groundnut, sesame. Among non-edible, neem, currant, castor, cotton, mahua, etc. Now this is the compost and composting. So there is no rocket science for preparing compost or composting. So we can use any of raw material for preparing compost or composting. There are so many methods also for preparing composting: Bangalore method, Coimbatore method, so many popularized method. And you can use pulse straw, kitchen waste, cereal straw, green manure, grasses, wheat straw, leaf fall, city waste, animal litter, sugarcane trash, organic waste, industrial organic waste for preparation of compost. Now this is vermicompost. Vermicompost, for making vermicompost, vermiculture is very much important. Vermiculture is a method of mass multiplication of earthworm. The important species of Indian earthworm are Eisenia foetida, Perionis excavatus, etc. So biofertilizer. Next, organic fertilization. Under organic fertilization, biofertilizer is another important point. Under biofertilizer, there are nitrogen fixer and phosphate mobilizer. Under nitrogen fixer, there are three division: symbiotic, you can say rhizobium, free living, azotobacter, associative, azolla, azospirillum. Under phosphate mobilizer, there is phosphate solubilizer and phosphate mobilizer. Phosphate solubilizers are blue-green algae, Bacillus, Pseudomonas, Aspergillus, Penicillium. Phosphate mobilizer are vesicular, arbuscular mycorrhiza, that is glomas, speriosis, etc. Organic management of insect pest. There are so many organic management approaches for managing insect pest. So light trap, organically acceptable chemical alternatives, cultural alternatives, biological control, botanicals, bacterials, fungal, viral. So 2 points has been left in my hand: organic management of insect pest and organic management of disease. I will going to discuss in 2 points. I am going to merge both the point in my discussion. So organic management of insect pest and organic management of disease. So there are so many example, as you know that trap crop. Trap crop is a crop planted to attract insect pest to trap crop is a crop planted to attract insect pest from another crop, especially one in which the pest fail to survive or reproduce. Trap crops are a form of pest control. They are used to divert the pest attention away from the more valuable cash crop. So there are so many options like marigold. Marigold attract thrips, nematodes. Marigold also attract nematodes. Radish attracts beetles, root fly from cabbage. So another point is pheromone. Pheromone are the volatile chemical substances that released into the air by insects that are deliberately captured by other insects of some species and can trigger a behavior or response in the recipient organism. Pheromone trap is based on the use of a device containing pheromone to lure or trap insect, commonly used in cotton fields. Light trap. Light trap is an illuminated trap for attracting and catching nocturnal flying insect. Now another point is botanicals. Botanicals are the pesticides derived from the plant materials. They are very effective in controlling insect pest because they possess repellent, knockdown, antiphedant, broad spectrum properties, and also they are important because they are less hazardous, biodegradable, and maintain balanced biodiversity of insect pest. Use of botanicals is an age-old practice where people used to utilize extract from plant parts to control the insect. There are many such examples used as neem dust to control the store grain pest, use of various plant extract like Acorus, Melia species, Acacia species, etc. You can use sesame extract like sesamine, sesamolin, neem extract like nimbin, nimbidin, etc. Now coming to the genetical method. The sterile insect technique is an area-wide pest control method that reduces agricultural pest population by releasing mass reared sterile insect, which then compete for mate with wild insect. The transgenic crop expressing insecticidal toxin are widely used as a toxin does sufficiently high to kill the wild type insect, as for example BT crops. So coming to the next point, that is biopesticide. Generally biopesticide are made of living things, come from the living things or they found in nature. As for example microbes, they are teeny organism like bacteria, protozoa, virus, fungi. They tend to be more targeted in their activity than conventional chemicals. As for example, Bacillus thuringiensis, Bacillus subtilis, they are the bacteria. Fungi, the example are Trichoderma. Among the viruses, there are granulosis virus, etc. So there are so many plant algae, plants, other organic produce, a wide variety of natural metabolites that can inhibit the crop pest and diseases. Even the neem oil extract, the extract from the seed of neem, Azadirachta indica, also used as has a insecticidal properties. Semiochemicals are the chemical compound produced by one organism and which induce a behavioral change in the organism of the same species or the different species. Semiochemicals are insect sex hormone which are deployed in a pest monitoring, mating, disruption and trapping. So there are so many things, and another thing is bioherbicide. Bioherbicide consists of phytotoxin, pathogens and other microbes used as biological weed control. It is a herbicide, so it is used for weed control. Bioherbicides or microbial pesticides, pathogens can be applied to control weeds within a specific geographical site by an inundative application of inoculum. As for example, velvet leaf. Velvet leaf, a weed, can control by Fusarium species or Coleotrichum species. You can use the example as water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is a weed can be controlled by Alternaria eichhorni. There are so many examples you can follow from other book also for controlling the weeds. So coming to the next point. So I think I covered the all components. So this is a diagrammatic, this is a chart where you can see the organic management of weed. There are three main division, that is physical weed control, ecological weed control and biological weed control. But one thing you should keep in mind that all approaches should be non-chemical. So among physical there are two division, manual and mechanical. Among manual there may be hand weeding, hand pulling, hand trampling. Among mechanical there is a tillage method, mechanical tillage, manual tillage. Among the ecological control there are so many options like intercropping, mulching, soil solarization, various resource management, avoid seed admixture, skipping basal nitrogen, judicious water application. Among biological control you can use bioagent, bioherbicide. As the biological control, as I said earlier, the biological methods or biological control for weed or pest management. Now coming to the constraint of organic farming. Among the constraint of organic farming, the first main constraint of organic farming is it has a huge managerial cost for certification and the risks of shifting to a new way of farming. Limited awareness of organic farming system. There are so many difficulties which have to face by the farmers because of lack of awareness, lack of adoption of scientific recommendation, inability to capture market economics. It requires more time to isolate and identify a correct and potent bioagent for standardization before going to the field application. So these the constraint of organic farming. Now the future strategies. The first future strategies is potential areas and commodities need to be prioritized for undertaking in organic production. The organic production technologies which are cost effective, eco-friendly, which can be adopted by farmers need to be popularized. Organizing intensive training to farmers, NGO, entrepreneur and extension personnel for organic production. Facilitation of certification for organic produce. Market promotion, that is value addition, processing including domestic and overseas market, etc. So marketing promotion is also another future strategies for organic farming. Now coming to the conclusion. So further research on organic farming is however still needed. Currently the easy access to the local market and increase the development of local market for the products and local processing possibilities and export infrastructure are of particular importance for organic farming. For this, the role of international institution and trade policies has to be discussed in the context of organic farming. So I think I can give you a brief idea about organic farming. So thank you very much for watching my video, and have I think you have an idea. For any queries you can ask or join me freely. Thank you.